What's going on, guys? Today is Friday, November the 20th, and that means this is my news radar. To start things off, we have several pieces of news regarding upcoming Samsung devices. It looks as though the upcoming Galaxy Z Fold 3 is going to receive quite the upgrade over the already really impressive Z Fold 2. So what we're doing here is we're looking at a tweet from Ice Universe, who is a pretty well-known leaker, seems to be a pretty accurate guy, and he's citing here the Samsung's going to release the Fold 3, which will bring camera under panel, S Pen, and second generation UTG, which is their ultra thin glass technology. So some of these things are really interesting and really important. So let's talk about camera under panel. So obviously the current Z Fold 2 has the hole punch camera offset. Obviously you can't put it in the middle. That's where the hinge is. You can't put a camera there. So they've got the hole punch off to the side. Now that was an improvement over what the original Fold did, which was that kind of giant cutout notch on the side of the screen that housed all of the cameras. Well, how do you improve upon an offset small hole punch? Well, you just put the camera under the screen and you forget that it's there. Now, we've already seen some under-display camera technology from Oppo, who seems to be constantly innovating, and they've shown off a really cool design. And from what I've seen in video, it works better than you would think. Now, if you peer very closely at these under-display cameras, you're going to be able to tell that it's there, but you've really got to look for that thing. So the idea of bringing that kind of technology to the Z Fold 3 so that you truly do have an uninterrupted tablet experience, I think, is a great upgrade to have. Now let's talk about the S Pen. So obviously, everyone's thought from the beginning, man, you've got a big screen like that. The S Pen just makes sense. To me, it makes much more sense there than it does on the Note. The Note is a big screen, but it's not a very wide screen, and it's awkward to me to write on something that's kind of narrow. Well, you open this thing up into a tablet, it's the absolute perfect device for the S Pen. The problem has been is that the folding display technology that they've used has led to the screen being rather fragile. And you can imagine if you can dent it with your fingernail, well, a pen is not gonna work. So that's what brings in the other third thing mentioned in Ice Universe's tweet, and that is second generation UTG, or ultra thin glass. I've said before on this channel, they're going to need a huge leap forward in ultra thin glass to make the S Pen work. And it sounds from the leaks, it sounds like they're getting really close to getting there. All in all, expect the Z Fold 3 to be, in that $2,000 range, and expect it to be another killer upgrade for an already really compelling device. But let's talk for a second about some other leaks that came out, a few days ago that kind of tie into this as well. So Max Weinbach, who's been fairly accurate with leaks, so he's got several devices listed here that he thinks you can be watching for, he's heard about with some certainty. So obviously you've got the S21, but now you're going to get the FE, the Standard, the Plus, and the Ultra. So now 4 steps when it comes to the S21. Obviously the S20 FE was a really big hit for them, and it's done quite well. So of course doing the S21 FE is it just makes sense. Here's where things get interesting. Z Fold 3, Z Flip 3, but you're going to see there at the bottom, Z Fold FE. Now, if true, I don't think I need to tell anybody here how important a budget version of the Galaxy Z Fold line could be. Imagine if the mainline one is $2,000 and maybe they can get the Fold FE down to $14.99 or something like that. It could become an even easier entry point. Look, you could basically take the original Fold design, maybe not with that huge camera cutout, but there's a lot that they could probably make that first phone much cheaper now. So maybe, still try to fit in the better glass, the ultra thin glass, maybe stick with the hole punch. But if you could get a Z Fold FE out for the $1,500 range, that could be a really compelling device to get people started in the folding phone range. Expect to see these prices continue to drop, obviously, as more and more of these things are made. Huge success with the FE line, maybe extending to the Z Fold. Super interesting stuff. So on the Apple side of things, we now have word that Apple is going to reduce their cut of apps on the App Store from 30% down to 15% for most developers starting January 1st. So basically, if you earn less than $1 million per year, you are eligible for that. So that, again, Apple, instead of taking 30%, they're going to take 15%. There's a quote here from Tim Cook. He says, quote, "Small businesses are the backbone of our global economy and the beating heart of innovation and opportunity in communities around the world. We're launching this program to help small business owners write the next chapter of creativity and prosperity on the App Store and to build the kind of quality apps our customers love." Now, obviously, this is a positive story, so I'm not going to say anything really negative about the policy. But I mean, this idea that they're doing it to foster growth and these sorts of things seems transparently on its face to be false. I would say that the primary reason that they're doing this is because their policies as of late have been highlighted and have been criticized. Epic Games obviously continues their struggle against Apple to get what they think is a fair deal with Fortnite in their Epic Games store. It's also worth noting that some of the big players like Amazon already had this deal. So if you signed up for Amazon Prime, they weren't taking 30% of that already. So it's something they've been able to do, and now they're going to do. And I think it's a better policy. But let's not pretend that it's strictly out of charity and the goodness of their own heart. I think that when certain things like the Epic Games deal, the lawsuits come to light and they get the spotlight shined on them, you know, look, that's the public opinion begins to shift. And Tim Cook, Apple, they're going to do things to try and save face. Sticking with Apple, NVIDIA is attempting to bring Fortnite back to iOS using their new cloud-based gaming web app. So as you may or may not remember, Fortnite was removed from the Apple App Store basically because they had worked in a loophole where people could buy their V-Bucks, which is their in-game currency, without giving Apple what they called their fair share, 30% cut. There's also been instances where Apple has removed Google Stadia as well as Xbox game streaming service from their store because they claim they want to be able to check each game and rate each game to make sure each game in the streaming service is appropriate for their devices. Obviously, this is insane because they don't check each Netflix show, every show on Hulu, etc., etc. It's a silly policy. Well, NVIDIA is trying to work around this by making their service a web app, which is something that Apple would have to go out of their way to make not work. Basically, NVIDIA's service would be you hook up a controller, you go to the website, and you start streaming the game. Incredibly, it sounds like NVIDIA is actually working closely with Epic Games to create a touch interface for their streaming version of Fortnite in this web app. So you would be not playing the mobile version, but the actual full-fat PC version with touch controls so that you could play your Fortnite on your phone again. We've got a quote here that says, "Alongside the amazing team at Epic Games, we're working to enable a touch-friendly version of Fortnite, which will delay availability of the game. While the GeForce Now library is best experienced on mobile with a gamepad, touch is now how over 100 million Fortnite gamers have built, battled, and danced their way to a victory royale. We're looking forward to delivering cloud streaming Fortnite mobile experience. Members can look for the game on iOS Safari soon." Now, it remains to be seen, at least not as far as I can tell, it remains to be seen if these people playing that version will be playing against PC players or other people playing with touch. Maybe with the Android people. Hard to say exactly where that's going to go. Obviously, if they're playing with touch against PC people explicitly, that's going to be a little bit troubling, but I'm sure they can work all that out. So, at the end of the day, sorry Apple, Fortnite's coming back to iOS, and if you go out of your way to block it again, well, you're going to do nothing but sow even more ill will, which is a shame because your M1 chips, these ARM-based chips that they're producing for their MacBooks, actually sound incredible. So guys, that's all the news I have for you today. Be sure to check back every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the next edition of my News Radar. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends. If you enjoy my content, please consider becoming a Scary If Literal member. You'll get access to a whole bunch of emoticons to use with live streams and a shout out on an upcoming video. Thanks as always for your continued support.